85% of women don't feel genuine arousal until one invisible factor appears. And most men completely miss it. Hearing this number, many men freeze. 8 out of 10 women don't feel desire, even when standing in front of a handsome, well-dressed man, even after a fun conversation. They only truly feel attraction when that hidden condition shows up, which means most men are playing a game without even knowing the rules. Have you ever felt this? Everything seems perfect. The two of you are laughing, the eye contact is strong, the vibe is flowing, and you think the next step is obvious. But suddenly, she pulls back. The energy shifts. The flame you thought was burning bright suddenly goes cold, and you sit there, confused, wondering what just went wrong. The sad truth is, most men immediately blame themselves. Maybe I'm not attractive enough. Maybe I'm not as good looking as other guys. Maybe she was just being polite all along. But the reality is different. The problem isn't that you're not good enough. The problem is that you don't yet understand how women actually experience attraction. This is the fundamental difference most men never recognize. Men often believe attraction begins with the physical. See a beautiful woman, and the body reacts instantly. For men, arousal feels like a straight line. But for women, the path is winding, layered, with doors that must be unlocked along the way. And this isn't some psychological game designed to make it hard for men. It's the natural result of biology and psychology shaped by thousands of years of evolution. What you need is a different perspective, a Stoic perspective. Real attraction isn't about power plays. It isn't about memorized pickup lines. It isn't about polished appearances. It's a deep psychological and emotional process. Once you understand it, you stop wandering in the dark, guessing. Instead, you become the kind of man who makes a woman feel an undeniable difference from the very first moment. Think of it like building a house. Too many men rush to paint the walls, decorate the exterior, and add fancy lights, without ever laying a foundation. Of course, it collapses. Attraction works the same way. You might have charm, looks, or smooth words, but without the foundation, the connection crumbles quickly. But when you know how to build the base first, everything else stands firm, grows stronger, and shines brighter over time. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 stages that determine a woman's genuine arousal. This isn't abstract theory. It's a process backed by research, rooted in psychology, and most importantly, once you learn it, you'll never need shallow tricks again. You'll know exactly how to build lasting attraction. Remember, 85% of women require these invisible conditions to be met before they feel true desire. Once you understand this, you'll stop guessing why some nights feel electric and others fall flat. You'll step onto an entirely different level, where attraction is no longer a coin toss, but a process you can create, nurture, and amplify. And that's exactly what most men have never been taught. 1. Emotional safety. If you want to understand how women are truly attracted, you must start here. Their desire doesn't begin in the body. It begins in the mind. And the very first question her brain asks is, "Am I safe with this man?" Most men hear this and immediately think, "Of course she's safe. I'd never hurt anyone." But safety isn't just about physical harm. It's about emotional safety, the sense that she can open up, set boundaries, even say no, and still be respected without paying a price for it. Why is this so important? Let's go back to evolution. For thousands of years, women lived in a world where choosing the wrong partner could mean real danger, being abandoned during pregnancy, being mistreated, or losing essential protection. A single mistake could affect survival itself, and those instincts didn't vanish just because modern society looks safer. They're still wired into the female brain, making her naturally cautious and searching for reassurance before she allows herself to feel desire. This is why so many men, despite good looks, money, or status, fail to spark real attraction. They might laugh together, enjoy chemistry at first, but a single small behavior can shatter the sense of safety. Think about it. When you constantly interrupt her mid-sentence to prove yourself right, when you dismiss her opinion on a movie, a restaurant, or anything small, to you, it might seem trivial. But to her subconscious, it's a warning sign. He doesn't truly respect me. If I reveal my vulnerable side, will he judge me? Will he dismiss me when it really matters? And the answer to that question determines everything. If the answer is not safe, the flame of attraction goes out instantly. Remember this: trying to build intimacy without emotional safety is like building a house without a foundation. It might look impressive for a while, but it's unstable at its core. The moment pressure comes, it collapses. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. Years ago, I dated a woman I thought I had great chemistry with. We could laugh and talk for hours, but whenever things started to move toward deeper intimacy, she pulled back. At first I thought maybe she wasn't ready, but the pattern kept repeating until I couldn't take the confusion anymore. One day, I asked her directly, and her answer hit me like a slap. You don't respect the little things. You cut me off when I speak, you brush off my opinions like they don't matter. If I can't trust you with the small stuff, how can I trust you with the vulnerable parts of myself? I was speechless. I had never realized how important the little things were. But for her, they were the proof that I wasn't truly safe. And without that foundation, every move I made was meaningless. So, how does a man actually build emotional safety? The answer is not abstract. It's concrete, simple, and powerful. First, respect no, no matter how small. When she says no to a restaurant, to a type of movie, or even to intimacy, you accept it calmly. No pressure, no guilt-tripping, no jokes at her expense. This shows her that her boundaries are valid, and you're the kind of man who honors them. Second, practice active listening. Listening isn't waiting for your turn to speak. It's paying real attention to her words, asking follow-up questions, and making her feel that her inner world matters to you. When you listen deeply, you send a message stronger than any compliment. What's inside you is important to me. Third, be stable and consistent. A man who loses his temper or sulks because of rejection makes a woman feel unsafe. But a man who smiles, shrugs, and says, "That's okay, I understand," instantly becomes someone she can trust for the long term. When you do these things, you don't just make her feel safe. You show her the kind of man you are: grounded, steady, and self-controlled. These are exactly the qualities Stoicism has celebrated for centuries, because a Stoic man doesn't let his ego, his anger, or his temporary desires control him. He stands like solid rock, someone others can lean on without fear. And that is the very first foundation of real attraction. Without it, everything else is just sandcastles. But once you've built it, you'll be surprised at how she begins to relax, to open up, to trust you. And only then does she allow herself to feel genuine desire. 2. Mental stimulation. If the first stage of female attraction is emotional safety, then the second stage is mental stimulation. And this is where the gender difference becomes crystal clear. Men often switch on through physical reaction. One glance, one curve, one spark of visual attraction, and the body responds instantly. But for women, true desire begins in the brain. Her mind must first be engaged, curious, and challenged before her body is willing to follow. Here's where most men go wrong. They spend the entire conversation talking about themselves, listing achievements, showing off knowledge, proving they're smart, successful, or strong. They believe this will impress her, but what it actually does is flatten the conversation. She smiles politely, nods, maybe even laughs here and there, but inside, she's already drifting. Because in that moment, you're not making her feel alive. You're performing for yourself. I once experienced this firsthand. I went on a few dates with a brilliant woman who worked in marketing. On the first couple of nights, I filled the air with stories about my work, my opinions, my so-called insights. But the more I talked, the more her eyes seemed to wander, her smile fading into routine politeness. Then, one evening, I tried something different. Instead of speaking about me, I asked her, "What's the most challenging project you've worked on recently? What makes it so complex? How are you approaching the solution?" Instantly, everything changed. Her eyes lit up. Her voice grew animated. She leaned in and spoke passionately, not just about what she did, but how she thought, what excited her, what frustrated her about the industry. That night, I understood something crucial. Mental stimulation isn't about showing how smart you are. It's about letting her intelligence shine. This is the Stoic mindset in action. Don't prove, discover. Don't rush to demonstrate your brilliance. Instead, create the space where she feels brilliant. An attractive man isn't the one who dominates the conversation. He's the one who makes the other person feel more alive, more curious, more radiant simply by being with him. So, how do you naturally create mental stimulation for a woman? It comes down to 3 key practices. First, ask open and deep questions. Don't stick to surface-level cliches like, "How was your day?" Instead, go further. What's been the most challenging part of your work lately? If you could do it differently, how would you? Or, what's something you've been really excited about these days? These questions show genuine interest in her inner world. They make her reflect, share, and feel seen. And when she feels that her thoughts matter, attraction begins to grow. Second, playfulness and sharp observation. Mental stimulation isn't always about serious intellectual topics. Sometimes it's about making a clever observation about the way the barista misspells names on the cups. Sometimes it's a playful tease about something she just said. Humor, wit, and curiosity about small everyday details can make her laugh and lean in. Women love men who can move seamlessly between depth and lightness, who can make them think one moment and smile the next. That's what keeps her mind engaged and invested. Third, emotional intelligence. Too many men forget this. True mental stimulation isn't just about words, it's about reading emotions and responding with empathy. If she shares something stressful, don't just nod and change the subject. Pause and say, "That sounds tough. I can imagine how draining that must feel." A small but sincere acknowledgement tells her you're not only listening to her words, but also understanding her feelings. When her thoughts and her emotions are both being recognized, you've just set yourself apart from 90% of men she's met. When a woman feels mentally stimulated, you'll notice her energy shift. Her eyes stay locked on yours, her body leans closer, her laughter comes easier, and the conversation flows without effort. The spark isn't in your resume or your stories. It's in the way you make her feel alive in her own mind. And that's the difference between a man who only talks about himself and a man who knows how to draw her out. The first drains her energy. The second awakens her. And trust me, women remember the feeling a man creates in them. It's not about the clever line you used or the polished story you told. It's about how she felt in your presence. Once you master this, you won't just create attraction, you'll build anticipation. Because she'll think, if a simple conversation with him makes me feel this alive, what else could there be? That thought alone is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. 3. Anticipation. Most men rush. They believe faster is better, that closing the distance as quickly as possible increases the chance of success. But women move at a different rhythm. Slow is the real speed. For them, desire doesn't ignite through instant access. It builds through a process of waiting, of tension, of delicious suspense, where every moment becomes fuel for attraction. Think about a film that stayed with you long after it ended. What made it unforgettable wasn't the final scene, but the build-up, the lingering glances, the secrets revealed one by one, the moments that were almost, but never quite enough. That is the art of anticipation. And for women, attraction is crafted in exactly the same way. What makes them crave isn't immediate satisfaction. It's the slow burn of longing, alive in their imagination. I once made the mistake of moving too fast, convinced that her smiles and laughter meant I should escalate immediately. One night, just as things grew more intimate, she placed her hand on my shoulder, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Slow down. Let me want it first." That single line changed everything. It made me realize that when I rushed, I was robbing her of the most powerful part of attraction, the freedom to choose desire. From that moment, I understood anticipation is not pointless delay. It's the art of deliberate absence. By holding back at the right time, by allowing space to breathe, you give her the gift of wanting on her own terms. There are 3 simple yet powerful ways to create this sense of anticipation. First, fleeting touches, not grabs, not forceful moves, just subtle gestures. A brush of the hand when you pass her something, a gentle pressure on her back as you open a door, a quick touch during shared laughter. These moments are short, but they leave echoes. They spark a thought in her mind. If something so small feels this electric, what would more feel like? Second, eye contact that lingers. Don't dart your eyes away the moment they meet hers. Let your gaze stay for a beat longer than expected. Not a stare, not aggression, just long enough for her to notice the weight of it. That single second of extended eye contact can make the heart race more than any bold advance. Third, words that suggest rather than declare. Attraction dies when men blurt out clumsy lines. "You're so hot." What women crave isn't blunt description, but subtle invitation. Say instead, "That smile of yours is dangerous. It distracts me." Or, "I probably shouldn't look at you this long, but it's hard to stop." These aren't crude compliments. They're sparks for her imagination. And imagination is the most powerful fuel of all. The essence of anticipation is this: controlled absence. You don't give everything at once. You create rhythm and space, like a musician who understands that silence between notes is what makes the melody alive. Those pauses, those gaps, make every touch, every glance, every word stand out and carry weight. The truly attractive man isn't the one who gets there fastest. He's the one who inspires a woman to want more, because wanting is infinitely stronger than being persuaded. And when that voice inside her whispers, "I need this," the game is already won. No convincing is required. The desire belongs to her. That is the power of anticipation, turning slowness into art, making the journey part of the destination. Master this, and you don't just create attraction, you create an unforgettable experience, one that lingers in her memory, that she replays again and again, her heart still racing at the thought of those deliciously suspenseful moments shared with you. 4. Emotional connection. True female desire is never just a biological reflex. It's not as simple as her body responding to a touch or a kiss. For women, attraction is an emotional experience. If her heart isn't engaged, the physical response will feel shallow, mechanical. But when her emotions and her body move together, that's when attraction becomes deep, explosive, unforgettable. The biggest mistake men make is trying to appear endlessly strong, flawless, unshakable. They hide every fear, every failure, and only show off achievements and victories. At first, this may look impressive, but in reality, it builds a wall. She can see you, but she can't reach you. and that kind of connection is hollow. It doesn't last. I fell into this trap once. In a relationship, I wore the mask of the perfect man. I spoke of successes, of wins, of everything that made me seem in control. But the connection stayed surface level. We were close physically, yet distant emotionally. Then one day, I faced a major career setback. I couldn't keep the mask on any longer. I admitted I'd lost confidence, that I felt insecure, that I was afraid of not being enough. I thought she would see me as weak. Instead, it changed everything. She didn't leave. She leaned in. She opened up about her own struggles, her fears about the future. We laughed, we shared, we comforted each other. For the first time, the relationship felt alive. Intimacy became not just stronger, but explosive in a way I had never experienced. This is a lesson straight out of Stoicism. The courage to reveal your truth is a form of strength. A man who dares to drop the mask is not weaker, he is more powerful. Because when you are honest, you give her permission to be honest. And that honesty creates emotional connection, the very foundation that makes attraction lasting and profound. So, how do you build emotional connection in practice? First, practice active listening and respond with empathy. When she shares a worry or a joy, don't just hear the words. Hear the emotion behind them. Ask follow-up questions. Look her in the eye. Respond in a way that makes her feel truly understood. Often she doesn't need advice or a solution, just your presence, your attention, your empathy. Second, remember the details from past conversations. Women notice whether you truly care. When you recall and reference things she once told you, the book she's reading, the food she loves, the stress she mentioned at work, you send a powerful signal. You matter to me so much that I carry even the smallest details of you with me. That creates safety, intimacy, and trust that nothing else can replace. Third, create space for mutual vulnerability. Don't make every conversation a performance where you're always the strong one and she's the only one opening up. Share your own fears, your doubts, the parts of yourself that aren't perfect. By going first, you create a safe space where she can also lay down her defenses. And it's in that shared vulnerability that the deepest bonds are formed. When emotional connection is present, everything else transforms. A touch of the hand isn't just physical. It becomes a statement of trust. A kiss isn't just contact. It's two souls meeting. Even silence becomes meaningful, because sitting together without words still feels like connection. Emotional connection is the invisible thread that makes a woman think of you, miss you, crave you. It can't be faked, it can't be bought, and it can't be replaced by looks or status. It only exists when you show up as your full, authentic self. And once it's there, attraction is no longer just a moment, it's an experience. One that digs deep, lasts long, and leaves her with memories she'll never forget. 5. Physical attraction. This is the stage where the body finally enters the picture. But remember, physical attraction is not the beginning, it's the final catalyst. Only after the 4 foundations, emotional safety, mental stimulation, anticipation, and emotional connection, have been built, does physical attraction explode into its full power. The mistake most men make is starting with looks or technique. They believe being handsome, hitting the gym, or knowing a few moves in bed is all it takes to win women. But if those deeper foundations aren't there, it's nothing more than an empty shell. You might spark temporary curiosity, but you'll never ignite lasting desire. The fire flares up for a moment, then dies out just as quickly. A woman can meet countless attractive men in her life. She can laugh with charming men who look sharp on the outside. But very few men make her feel safe, understood, curious, and deeply connected. The ones who combine all of these qualities become irresistible. In their presence, physical attraction is not just skin deep, It's the spark that ignites everything else. So, how do you turn physical attraction into a true language of connection instead of just a mechanical tool? There are 3 core practices every man should master. First, full presence. Many men aren't truly present when they're with a woman. Their attention drifts to their phone, their thoughts, or their anxiety about what to do next. But a truly attractive man is different. He's comfortable in his own skin, not trying to force or fake anything. He gives his full attention to the moment, so she feels he's really here, with me, and only me. That presence creates a magnetic energy that no technique or line can replace. Second, sensitivity to her responses and needs. No 2 women are the same. What excites one may not touch another. The key is not applying some generic script, but paying attention. Does she lean closer when you laugh together? Does her breathing change when you move closer? Or does her body stiffen slightly when you touch her arm? A perceptive man picks up on these signals and adjusts naturally, without pushing. And when she sees you respond to her in real time, her trust and desire deepen. Third, turning touch into a language. Most men treat touch as just an action, a step in the process. But for women, touch is communication. It can say, "I'm here, I care, I desire you, I respect you." A hand gently placed on her back while guiding her through a doorway can feel protective. A soft brush of her fingers when handing her something can feel electric. A light squeeze of her hand can communicate connection without words. When touch comes from genuine emotional connection, it stops being mechanical and becomes a whisper of intimacy. I see you. I feel you. I'm here with you. Once the 4 foundations are in place, every look, every touch, every kiss takes on a new meaning. A simple hand on hers isn't testing limits. It's confirming trust. A kiss isn't just lips meeting. It's the culmination of emotions, intellect, and anticipation merging all at once. At this stage, physical attraction is no longer a weapon of seduction. It becomes the natural result of a deeper process. You don't have to compete, compare, or copy anyone else's techniques. Because the fact that you are the man who makes her feel safe, understood, curious, and emotionally connected is enough to make your physical presence irresistible. That's when the body stops being the starting point and becomes the final flame, the one that sets the entire journey alight. Female desire has never been a simple switch you can flip on and off. It doesn't ignite from one clever line, one polished move, or some memorized trick. Desire is a layered journey with 5 distinct stages: emotional safety, mental stimulation, anticipation, emotional connection, and only then, physical attraction. The greatest mistake men make is trying to shortcut this journey. They skip the foundations, leap straight to the final stage, and then wonder why everything collapses so quickly. But research makes the truth undeniable. 85% of women only awaken to genuine desire when the psychological and emotional foundations are in place. Without that groundwork, everything else is nothing more than a sandcastle. Beautiful, perhaps, but fragile and washed away at the first wave. This is where the Stoic perspective changes everything. Real attraction doesn't come from flashy masks, from forcing yourself into roles, or from chasing techniques that don't last. Real attraction comes from becoming a man who respects, who connects, and who is fully present. That man doesn't need to prove anything. His calm is his proof. His presence speaks louder than words. He is the space where a woman feels safe. He is the one who sparks her mind, stirs her emotions, and ultimately ignites her desire. He is rare, and because of that, he is unforgettable. When you step onto this path, you stop chasing gimmicks. You no longer scramble for tricks to impress in a fleeting moment. You don't measure yourself against other men. Because you understand this, lasting magnetism doesn't come from what you display in an instant. It comes from who you've become. You become the man who makes her feel secure in your presence, the man who makes her feel seen and valued, the man who sparks curiosity and draws her deeper, making her want to discover more, the man who builds such emotional connection that even the smallest touch feels like a promise, and a kiss becomes the culmination of trust, passion, and anticipation. And when all of this is in place, physical attraction, so often seen as the starting point, becomes the final flame, the spark that lights up the entire journey. That's when your presence doesn't just draw her in for a moment. It lingers. It imprints itself into her memory, into her emotions, into her very sense of connection. That is the true destination. To become a Stoic man, steady as stone, unmoved by shallow temptations, unshaken by setbacks, but deeply capable of building bonds that last. That is not just the path of attraction, it is the path of maturity, of inner strength, of becoming a man who cannot be swayed by the surface, but commands respect and desire at the core. And if what I've shared with you today opened your eyes, if it helped you finally understand why your past attempts felt hollow, why things seemed to fade too quickly, then take action now. Hit subscribe to the Unshakable Stoic Path. This is where we train together for resilience, for wisdom, for the kind of magnetic presence that endures. Don't settle for being the man who is attractive only in a moment. Become the man a woman never forgets, because you embody safety, connection, desire, and an unshakable strength she can feel in every breath.